Hey guys, and welcome to or back to the Paws in Pursuit podcast with your host, Summer Clark. So this week we have a very exciting guest. This person was actually requested by a few of you. Well, not really this person, but this topic was requested by a few of you on my Instagram story when I asked for guest episode ideas. And you all or a lot of you seem to want to know the life of an agility photographer. So I thought, who better to do that than Yulia Titovets herself? Obviously, most of you will know Yulia as the main agility photographer on the circuit. To be honest, she's at all the main events, Crufts, Olympia, Discover Dogs, all the things. So we're going to be talking about the behind the scenes of the job, and she's going to be answering all of your questions that you asked for her on my story not long ago in this conversation. So I really hope you enjoy the episode. I found it really interesting. There's a lot that you don't think about when you think of agility photographers. There's a lot that goes into it. So Yulia spills all the tea on the life of an agility photographer in today's episode, so keep listening. But before we begin, I hate to let you guys down, but there's no weekly recap. Literally nothing different has happened since I last told you in the last weekly recap. Because I recorded last week's episode a bit late because I had a very busy weekend. So I recorded last week's episode on the Monday and it went up on the Wednesday, and now it's the Saturday. So since I recorded, it's been Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and today. Literally had training on Wednesday, nothing else happened. I was working as normal, gone out and done things like normal, but not like to tell you, oh, I did this, oh, this happened. Literally nothing agility related or anything dramatic really. I did receive quite an exciting email actually, but I can't tell you yet. I'm not going to tell you yet, but yeah, I hopefully will be able to tell you guys about that exciting email very soon, but I'm hyped about it. So yes, there was one thing actually, but I can't tell you yet, so sorry guys, bit boring this week. But without further ado, wouldn't be a podcast episode with me if I didn't fumble on my words at least once. Let's get into the conversation with Yulia. Now, I would just like to take a minute to introduce you guys to the podcast sponsor, Huel. So here I have one of the ready-to-drink Huel meals, the berry flavour. Huel ready-to-drink is a meal in a bottle with over 20 grams of protein. It really is the perfect meal for when you are on the go. You don't need to sacrifice convenience or nutrition, you can have both with ready-to-drink. Each serving has 26 vitamins and minerals. This means every bottle of ready-to-drink has 175 health benefits. It is made from natural ingredients such as coconut, sunflower seeds, tapioca, pea protein, flax seeds, and hemp seed protein. Every meal is vegan and it has no gluten, no palm oil, no GMO, no lactose, and no animal products whatsoever. It comes in 8 delicious flavours including iced coffee caramel and strawberries and cream, as well as the classics like vanilla, chocolate and banana. It is absolutely delicious and just tastes like a milkshake. It is widely sold in supermarkets, petrol stations and corner shops around the UK, and it can be conveniently purchased online. I found out about Huel because I was looking for a product that would give me all the nutrients that I need while travelling to events and staying over at competitions and training events. So when it's time to refuel and have a meal, I can just drink a ready-to-drink Huel product and get all my nutrients quickly, easily and without cooking. It's perfect when I don't have the time or the facilities to cook. For example, when I'm camping at a competition, I'm going to be drinking at least one a day at KCI and Dogs in Need. If you're super busy, just like me, then you really don't want to miss out. You can easily and conveniently shop ready to drink from Huel at the link uk.huel.com/pause. I hugely appreciate anyone and everyone that uses my link, as it helps keep this podcast running, and every sale through that link helps keep my podcast going. Buying through my link also gets you a free t-shirt which will be auto applied at the checkout. If you subscribe to a Huel order, you can save 10%. You can choose how often your subscription comes, for example every 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, etc. And these are super easy to manage on the website and you can edit whenever you like. uk.huel.com/pause. Do you just want to briefly introduce yourself then? I'm assuming most people that will listen already know who you are, but just in case they don't, do you just want to give a little introduction?
Yeah, to be fair, no, lots of people don't know who I am, especially they don't really, it's really hard for them to put face to the name because at a lot of events, they actually don't see me, especially the bigger events.
Yeah, that is true. You're more behind the scenes, aren't you?
Exactly.
True.
Also, I'm really good at hiding, so very often people actually don't see me at all, even when I am at the shows, sitting at the ring.
Very true. So people know your name, but not your face, maybe.
Exactly. So yeah, my name is Yulia Titovets, and I've been doing this not just agility photographer but dog photographer for a considerably long time now. Been Kennel Club official photographer for 12 years, I think now. Yeah,
it's a long stint.
It's been a long time. I have done considerable amount of big events in my life, mostly focusing on the big finals like Crafts, Olympia, Discover Dogs, agility festivals when we used to have a lot of finals there.
All the things people want to remember in a photo.
Yes. Yes.
So how did you become an agility photographer then? So you say not just agility, just dogs in general. So how long have you done dog photography for longer than agility photography?
It's hard to, well, yes. Yeah. Generally, yes. I loved dogs like my whole life, but because we traveled as a family, we lived in so many different countries, we couldn't have a dog of our own.
Yeah.
So the family bought a dog like a couple of months before I left for the university. I didn't have my own proper dog until I was like over 20.
Oh, right. Okay. That's a long time to wait.
Exactly. Yeah. And so with the photography, I always had a big passion for photography. My father used to do photography, so I grew up not professionally, but we always had cameras at home.
For fun.
Yeah. At some point in my, I think, first or second year of the university, I've decided I want to do more stuff with dogs in terms of work. So I started working a lot with like dog walkers and dog trainers. So basically just following them.
Okay.
So just go with them to the training sessions, go with them to the dog walks. And I used to work with one of the dog walker in London who used to walk like 30 dogs at the same time.
Oh, wow. That's a lot of dogs.
Yeah. But he's brilliant at what he does. So it was like all the dogs always under control.
Oh, wow. That's impressive.
It was. We're also speaking like about 15, 16 years ago.
Oh, okay.
So before all the rules of 4 dogs only and everything.
Before everything got so serious.
Yeah. So it was great fun for me and a great exposure. So that's how I started going to like different events, and I've been doing Discover Dogs every single year since I moved to England.
Oh wow, okay.
So from 2006, I've done every single Discover Dogs.
Oh wow.
Because that's basically was like the first event I started going to. And then so agility, I always liked fast sports photography, so like I always wanted a challenge.
Yeah.
So with that dog trainer Dima Yeremenko, we started. He used to do the summer camps.
Okay. Yeah.
With dogs. And he would bring lots of different trainers. So like every day we tried different disciplines.
Okay.
And this is how I started doing agility photography.
Okay.
So that was my like first attempts, and I remember like I really struggled with all the speed and proper
it's very high speed
and everything.
Yeah.
But that was a brilliant way to get introduced into it.
Yeah, definitely.
Because there was no pressure and I could do whatever I wanted to do.
Yeah, that is true.
And then I was what did I do? No, I was runner-up in a Dog Photographer of the Year in 2010.
Oh wow!
The one run by the Kennel Club.
Yeah, I was. I had the same thing. I was runner-up in the junior category. What was it? I think 2017. I did that or something.
Okay.
Yeah, it's cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that was like one of the introductions for me to the Kennel Club.
Okay.
But then we just went for the gallery tour in London.
Yeah. In the Kennel Club building.
And even like it was in the previous one also, so it was a considerable long time ago.
Yeah.
And I met one of their people who's responsible for like all the photography and all the press stuff, and I started speaking to her. And I gave her my card, and an hour later she phoned me and asked me to be their official photographer.
Oh wow! All happened quite quickly then.
Yeah, it was definitely like being in the right place at the right time.
Yeah, definitely. That's a great opportunity.
And that was probably just before Discover Dogs, I think. So Discover Dogs was my first official event, and then I did the crafts the year after.
And you do KCI as well, don't you? International Agility Festival?
Yeah, but the first one I've done was, I think, 2015. So like a few years after I've started working for the Kennel Club.
Oh, okay.
Also, Olympia was the same. So I haven't started with Olympia. So it was Discover Dogs and Crafts that I did. And then a few years later, I started doing the official agility stuff.
Oh, okay. So do you do do you still do other disciplines then for the Kennel Club? Or is it just agility now?
Yeah.
Still other,
it's still, so at Crafts, I literally work all the time. So I'm at the main arena doing every single thing.
Oh, you do all of it. So like, I bet the heel work to music's quite fun to take photos of as well.
No, it's
is it not?
Very boring.
Oh, really? Oh, okay, interesting.
Heel work to music is really fun to watch.
Yes, yeah,
so
it is.
I like watching it. Actually, taking photos, because it's really hard to capture the movement.
Yeah, I suppose.
And also, like, freestyle is more fun to take pictures because they have lots of props and stuff.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of.
The actual heel work to music is very boring.
Yeah,
well, especially like obedience. Like, if we're speaking about taking pictures, if there is no variety.
Yeah, true.
Like, you can take a couple of pictures and that's it. Heel work to music is definitely not my favorite thing.
Yeah.
But to be fair, like flyball, for example, is the opposite. It's too much going on.
Yeah, true. Yeah, that's even higher speed than agility, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, true. So agility is like a nice medium, I suppose.
Yeah. I like doing the showing photos as well.
Yeah.
So, for example, like last weekend, I've done all the junior handling and
yes, I think I saw that on your Instagram actually.
Yeah,
so
I've just posted them yesterday. Yeah. So I like doing those, and because I judge breed as well.
Oh, okay, yeah. So you know what you're looking out for as well.
Yeah. It's been a while since I've been doing that as well. I cover lots of stuff for Kennel Club, and that's a good thing for the Kennel Club. That's why they like me, because they don't need like lots of different photographers.
Yeah, you'll do everything.
I can just because I can do everything. And
very versatile.
For a very long time. So I know what they want. That's
cool.
how we're still working together with the Kennel Club.
Amazing. So how long have you been an agility photographer for? So when did you say that was? 2050? Oh, no. 2006, did you say?
2006 I started, 2008 I started doing the dog photography properly.
Okay. Yes, okay, that's it.
For the Kennel Club, I started working 2012 or 2011.
So a good 10 or so years then.
Yeah, definitely over 10 years.
Yeah.
I think my first Olympia was 2014 or 2015.
Okay, yeah. So around 10-ish years.
Around 10 years, around 10 years.
Still a nice long time.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Cool. So did you practice taking photos at shows or give your photos away for free before you started charging for them? So did you sort of take it upon yourself to sort of go places and just take photos off your own back, before you started charging for them? Or did you give anyone your photos for nothing to start with? Or...
So that's what I normally tell people to do, but I didn't really do it that way.
Okay.
Because as I said, like I had enough practice with a fast movement and everything. While like before that, when I was doing lots of like general basic dog training clubs and dog walkers and those summer camps. So I didn't I have never really gone to the shows to just like sit and take pictures and give pictures for free. I've done more of the general training. So I've never really done obedience agility training per se. So at that point, yes, I was giving out a lot of photos for free, and I used to do so for the dog trainers and for the general public. So I used to do a lot of photo shoots for free just to get the portfolio done. But I think with agility, when I started with Discover Dogs and Crafts, I was already charging.
Oh, okay, yeah. I suppose was there that element to start with where you were sort of like a bit unsure of your own sort of ability, almost, so that you wanted to give them out for free because you were like, I don't know if I should be charging yet? Or were you already always pretty confident, that your photos were good enough to charge for, if that makes sense? I think this is where this person was coming from.
I totally get it.
Yeah.
So it's just that I had experience before I started going to shows.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
by the time I started going to the shows, I was able to charge money because I knew that I'm good enough.
Okay, that makes sense.
But to the lots of people now, I tell them that if you have the opportunity to go to the shows and practice, that's a brilliant way to do it. It's just because that I had other ways to do it at that point.
And I suppose a lot of people are already at a show like competing, do you know what I mean? So if they're into it, then they could just, in between their own runs, they could always just take some photos and, you know, approach people and be like...
As long as organizers know and the official photographer knows,
Yes, that's very true, yeah. Don't want any fallings out. Okay, so how many photos do you take on average at an event? Emphasis on the on average, because obviously there's probably a lot to be precise, but...
Too many. So if we say the big events like I don't know, crafts is crazy numbers. So over 4 days I take like about 50,000.
Wow.
If we speak about say KCI, then so now without the Olympia qualifiers, because when there were Olympia qualifiers it was much more.
Yes, true.
So the days like Saturday when we have all the semifinals or finals, so the Starters Cup, the Novice Cup, and the Champs, I can take like 15,000.
Okay, it's a lot of photos.
Yeah, and the same with, for example, like the agility stakes, so Olympia semis, it was about like 13,000.
Okay, yeah. So a significant amount of photos. I bet you need quite a big memory card for that.
Yeah, a lot of memory cards and also a lot of memory on the computer. And,
yes, definitely.
Drives. But when I'm doing like normal day at Iconics, not, at Iconics we have finals in the evenings, but during the day, it's probably about 5,000.
Okay,
3,000.
So a bit less, but still a lot.
Yeah, but when it's not the proper finals and when it's not the qualifiers, like the important qualifiers, when I sit and take every single dog. Then it's less than that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Amazing. So how long is a typical day of photography and what do your hours look like? So I'm assuming it's quite different depending on the event and how far away it is and stuff. But, you know, talk us through sort of a typical day in the life of you when you go to take photos at a show.
So I'm one of those people who, if I sit at one ring, I will take pictures of every single dog.
Yes.
Which is considerably annoying for myself because then I end up with a lot of photos.
Yes, very true.
So again, let's just use the KCI for example, because KCI is very different. Like on Thursday, there is the International Day.
Yes.
Or like Friday when nothing major is happening. I literally just wander around and I take pictures of the people I know or the cute dogs or like if someone asks me to do something. So yeah, I just wander around and take pictures of whatever I want. Same as Iconics. When there are finals, so like Saturday at the KCI or the semis or something, it's literally you arrive, you sit at the ring, you take pictures of every single dog. You're very lucky if you have lunch.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you might miss a dog then.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because with the ring party, they were like, oh, okay, you can go have lunch and then somebody else will cover for you, but I don't have that option.
No, yeah. Yeah, cause it's
so
just
for
you.
Example, it's just me. Last year, when it was really hot at the Agility Festival.
Oh, God, yeah. Awful.
And then they put the novices and the champ classes at the same time in 2 different rings.
Yeah.
And I was like, fabulous. What do you want me to do?
Yeah. I'm going to have to choose one.
Yeah, exactly. And so, for example, I thought that potentially we might have the same problem this year at the Olympia Agility Stakes.
Oh, yeah.
Because obviously we're going to have all the novice. Which one we have? Starters.
Yes.
Starters Cup and ABC on top of agility or normal agility stakes.
Yeah, that's true.
But they're not clashing, hopefully.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, fingers crossed. I literally just had the schedule this morning, and I'm like, this is gonna be a busy event.
Yeah, I suppose at the end of the day, though, you can only do your best. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can't be in more than one place at once.
Obviously.
So yeah. But do you ever get people like moaning at you if you don't get photos of their dog, or like you haven't got enough photos of someone's dog? Do you get a lot often from events?
Yeah, a lot. Especially with the big events like KCI or Iconics, it's always like, oh, why haven't you done this? I'm like, because I'm on my own.
Yeah.
So when it's finals and when it's the qualifiers, I generally, it's very rarely if I miss a dog, because I do sit and take pictures of every single dog. Obviously, when it's just general show, it's like, okay, I missed the dog. I missed the dog. Then it's on the knees.
Yeah, exactly.
Inspire was a good example. It was the first time I did Inspire, so I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what the venue is going to be. I didn't know which competitors are going to be there. So it was completely new show for me, completely new environment, everything. But obviously, because I've just done all 3 Iconics this summer, then KCI and semis, so it was too much of a juicy photo. So with Inspire, it was just chill because it was very close to home.
Oh, true.
And, so that's why I did the 1 to 3s in the morning, and then I went home for lunch, and then I came back for finals.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, so because that was my plan. I was like, okay, I'll do 1 to 3s, and then 4 and 5, and 6 and 7 in the finals.
Yes, exactly. So you get a bit of everyone.
Yeah, but then obviously I had lots of people who were like, oh, we were in 6 and 7 just as a class, not in the final, so why didn't you cover that? And I was like, no, I can't do everything.
Because I don't want to sit there for 24 hours.
Oh, no, definitely not that day when it was so cold. I felt so sorry for you judging that, like, over 12 hours there.
Yeah,
I was like, no.
it was long. It was long.
Yeah.
For sure. So this kind of follows on nicely. So how do you decide which classes to take photos of when you go to a show? Obviously you prioritize finals and stuff, but at a normal show, how do you kind of prioritize which grades to do, which heights, stuff like that?
So as I mentioned before, at the normal shows, I don't sit at one class and do one. So because normally I walk around. So Inspire was different because it was 3 rings, and more or less the dogs were the same.
Yes,
so it didn't really matter. I could, because she did like 1 to 3 in all 3 rings. So it didn't matter. I would sit and do the whole class. So at Iconics or Agility Festival, it's too big of a show, so there are lots of different things. So I never really stay by one ring.
Yeah, true.
So that's why normally I ask people, so if you want me to definitely get the photos of your dog, then please text me. And then I will try to go and get there. Normally when I get there, I take the pictures of the people who ask me, and then I just stay by the ring.
Yeah,
so if I have time. But last Iconics, at some point, I literally had so many messages, and people would be like, there are 6 dogs in front of me, there are 5 dogs in front of me, and they're all in different rings.
Oh, God.
Fabulous.
That's difficult.
But the sales rates are much higher if I'm doing it like this. So if I'm going and doing the people who I know, compared to if I actually sit by one ring and do it. So I've done this as an experiment at Iconics. This one, I think, the last one, the autumn one.
Yes.
When I did the whole 1 to 3 class, and I can't say that the sales were this good.
Oh, okay. I suppose as well, if you're taking pictures of people who have asked for them, that they're definitely going to buy them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like not everyone's going to end up buying them if they haven't asked for them, I suppose.
So the most, generally speaking, like the lots of photographers would say go and do 1 to 3 because it's the new dogs. But from the experience, I can't agree with that.
Oh, okay, interesting.
And I think the Inspire was a good example of that because I had same amount of sales for 4 to 5 and 6, 7, and probably even more than 1 to 3s.
Oh, okay, yeah. So it's not a set rule again. It's sort of very dependent.
No, definitely not. I think speaking about agility photography, if not at the shows, but more about the training days and the workshops.
Yeah, true.
People really, really like the puppy and young dog photos.
Yes, yeah.
And I think actually more than the 1 to 3.
Yeah.
They want the actual puppy photos because it's probably like a mixture of the cuteness of puppies
Yes,
and
definitely.
the first agility photos.
Yeah, something that stands out. I suppose a bit like sort of big finals and stuff. They want something to more remember that event than just a photo of the dog. I suppose as well with like 6, 7 dogs, the handler's probably already got loads of pictures of that dog throughout its career, if it's like an older dog or a more experienced dog as well. So maybe that contributes.
Yeah, but there are lots of experienced handlers who will literally buy all the photos.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Probably have a whole album of them from over the years.
Yeah. I genuinely don't know what they do with all those photos, but for me.
Yeah, exactly. Not going to complain.
Yeah, but there is also lots of handlers who will not buy photos from the events if they got eliminated.
Oh, okay, yeah. Bad memory.
Yeah, so from my point of view, I'm like, in a couple of months, you will not remember which show was it. But
yeah. You just sat there like, please don't get Eid because I want to sell a photo.
Yeah, but it gets really upsetting because sometimes you get like really, really cool shots. Like something really incredible, and then the person is like, "Oh no, just because I'm eliminated, I'm not going to buy the photos."
Yeah,
So
that's
it's
true.
it's not even the whole idea of selling, but it's just but this photo is
Really
so
good.
much better than it's just like maybe you're doing the winning run and you're not going to get like any good shots because I'm in the wrong position or something,
exactly.
and then you get this awesome shot, but from the run that you got eliminated. So I don't see the point. And the interesting thing that I had a few people from Inspire who did the same comments in 1 to 3s.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
And I was like, okay,
fine. It'll just go to waste.
If you start like this at 1 to 3, I'm very curious how you're gonna get to like the higher grade.
Yeah, definitely. Oh God. Good luck to them.
Yeah. Also, Inspire was the different sort of people, but I think actually that really helped with the 6 and 7 because there were lots of 6 and 7 dogs who I've never seen before.
Okay, yeah.
So
not just the same handlers and dogs all the time.
Yeah. So not the same handlers as go to like every single final that you see at every single final. So I guess that's why the sales of like 4 to 5 and 6 and 7 from Inspire are quite high because there are lots of people who I haven't seen before.
Yes, that is very true.
Who haven't had the photos from me before.
I was going to say as well, does it ever happen where like you get a really good photo and they don't want it and you're like, I want to do something with it. Do you know what I mean? Like it's that good and you're like...
Yeah. I do. I do have this issue.
Would you like... I suppose you could always put it on your own sort of social media or use it as like promotion for your business, I guess, couldn't you? If you wanted to post it somewhere.
That's what I normally do. It does get upsetting when you get some really, really cool shot and the owners are like, meh.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, but you still have to use it somewhere.
At this stage, I am not that bothered. Obviously, and also taking thousands and thousands and thousands of photos. I'm not like I don't really care as much as I used to care being the beginner photographer.
Yeah, true. You're more used to
when
it.
you would like properly fall in love with photo and then just get upset because the owners don't like it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, at this stage I'm like, okay, fine.
I suppose photography can be like a sort of a taste thing as well. Like some people prefer certain types of pictures than others, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, you learn a lot with the handlers. So you need to learn which handlers like to be in the photo, which handlers don't like to be in the photo, which handlers prefer what sort of type of photos.
Yes, that's very true.
And we always joked with other photographers that sometimes you take some very random shot of like the dog jumping away from you, so it's just the dog's butt, and you would think no one will ever buy
and
that.
They want it.
No, they will.
Yeah, it's so funny, isn't it?
The first photo that people will buy.
Yeah, so bizarre.
Yeah,
so
I get a lot of that.
Yeah. Would you say it's harder to take photos of the handler as well as the dog? Because often, like I'll see with photographers, it's usually just the dog. Like it's more rare to find. Like I don't really have any of me and Arrow, if that makes sense, because he's usually nowhere near me either. So do you find it quite difficult to get photos of both in the same shot while still making it a good shot, if that makes sense?
Yes, also because you get used to focusing on the dog.
Yeah.
So you really focus on the dog. You don't really look at the handler. You don't really know where the handler is.
Yeah, that's it.
So yeah, when I take the pictures of the handlers who I know want themselves in the photos, I have to think of the completely different shots to what I do, like to all the other dogs.
Yeah, that's very true.
So yeah, there are a few. There are a couple of people who I am like affiliated with, and for them I take pictures of them, and sometimes it's pictures of just them without the dog.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, because they want like the pictures of movement of themselves.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, so it's interesting. It's like challenging. It's something to think about.
Yeah, definitely. I suppose maybe people that are trying to work on their own handling or their own like fitness or something want to see how they move. So no, that's true. Suppose in that sense it's useful as well. Even as far as dogs go, you can see, you know, how their body moves over a jump or something by a photo. So I suppose it's multi-purpose.
Yeah.
Definitely. So
but there are lots of people who really don't like themselves.
Yeah, true.
So it's really hard because sometimes you get some really cool handling shots. And
but
the people
oh, no,
who are like, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can crop you out.
Yeah.
That's not a problem.
Yeah, editing does happen.
Yeah.
So what is your favourite obstacle to photograph and why? So piece of equipment, basically, on a course.
I thought about that question. Probably the dog walk, realistically.
Yes. Especially with the running contacts.
Yeah, it took me a while though to properly get it because I really don't like the position of the dog because it looks like a shrimp with a really awkward back.
Yeah. That's true.
When they're doing like the proper running contact, so I'm like, I don't get it. I don't get why people like it, but like clearly they like the proper like the how do I call it like the proper position of the legs and everything. I'm like, okay, I just accept this.
Yeah, people like the back foot split on the bottom. They're like, oh
exactly. Yeah. I prefer the full stretch photos.
Yeah.
But I think that's why I like the dog walk because I can get both.
Yeah, you can get them going over the top.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
true. So I
true.
can get them the full stretch, but I can also get the running contact, which people really like.
Yeah, that's true. Do you like what's it called? Like hold the shutter so it does. Is it like burst mode or something? So you literally take one like the whole way over it. Does that make sense?
I know what you mean.
You know what I mean.
I've stopped doing that because it's too many photos.
True, that is very true.
For the dogs that I know that people want something specific, then yes, I will go to the higher shutter count and I will do that. We often do it when at the workshops or the private photo shoots that I do for agility people, when we literally just make the dog to do the dog walk because we are looking for a specific shot. And then I will do the whole sequence. Yes.
Yeah. So it's not the whole course, it's just that obstacle.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But at the competitions, no, I don't do that.
Yeah. That would be way too many, you're right.
Exactly. That's the thing, because I've run a few workshops for Nikon, and we've done a few agility-themed workshops with Nikon a few years back. And I remember the Nikon lecturer, he was like, oh, you need to put the frames per second as high as your camera goes. And I'm like,
no, I don't. Yeah. You don't understand.
No, you don't. Don't. Just don't.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, when you do like a couple of dogs, yeah, that's not a problem. But like me, with the amount of dogs I do, if I had even 15 frames per second, I would end up with much more photos than I do. Because now I've gone down to 10 frames per second. And the more experience you get, the better you are at pressing the button at the correct time.
Yeah, that's true. I suppose it's like second nature after a while.
Very often I literally take one shot over the jump. I don't take the sequence at all, and I just get the right shot over the jump just because I know when to press the button.
Yeah, you got a feel for it.
Yeah, but it takes a lot of time and experience.
Yes.
But
same with everything, I suppose, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Practice makes perfect. So what is your favourite event to take photos at, and why then, out of all the shows you do?
So I do like Iconics by Night. That's the most challenging event. Well, that's the most challenging but fun event to do.
Yeah, I suppose with the lack of lighting as well, it's hard.
Yeah, but it's really cool. You get really incredible results, and it's something very unique. So it's really interesting to do that. I was the first photographer for them to do it. So yeah, there were very high expectations, and I was like, yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
Never done
pressure.
something like that before, but we'll see. We'll manage.
Yeah.
Because it can feel like, oh, it's a lack of light. For example, like doing Discover Dogs in Excel is a nightmare.
Yeah,
So
true. Yeah, it's a weird indoor venue, isn't it?
Absolutely. That's the worst lighting ever. I feel really sorry for dogs running in that event because it's way too dark. They can't see the obstacles properly, and the ring is really small.
Yeah, that's true. And you've got that white fence around it as well, haven't you?
Exactly. Yeah, and it's quite low as well.
Yeah.
And there are like children and everything. No, I don't like that.
It's the same as the Young Kennel Club ring at Crufts. That's very similar. It's bizarre.
I never take pictures at the Young Kennel Club ring at Crufts because I'm like, no. If someone wants to go and kill themselves trying to take pictures there, they can do it. I am sticking to my main arena with a good lighting.
Good idea.
Out of the Kennel Club events is definitely Olympia.
Yeah. I suppose the atmosphere there as well adds to it.
Yeah, the atmosphere, even now when it's at Excel, not at Olympia, it's still incredible with all the Christmas lights,
it's special.
It is very special, and because it used to be this proper, like, not by invitation, but because there are so few dogs who are there, it makes the event very prestigious.
Yes, definitely.
And also for us as the photographer, the life is much easier because we literally go in the ring, 15 minutes in the ring, we are out of the ring, and we can do the photos. So you process the photos straight away, and then the competitors have the photos straight away as well.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, this year it's not going to happen like that.
No, this year's an exception.
This year we're going to be very busy.
Yes, but it'll be worth it. Hopefully.
It will be very interesting to see how it goes. And if all the logistics work out well, then it's going to be a really interesting event.
Yeah, hopefully it'll all work out well. So do you have a favourite breed or size of dog to photograph? And if so, why? So is there sort of a height of dog, of jump size that you prefer over the others, or breed?
The jump size, it depends. So if it's a big arena, like Craft, or Olympia. To be fair, I had this at Inspire as well because I was sitting at that like short end.
Yes, yeah.
It's harder to take the small dogs because they're too small.
Yeah, that's true.
So they're too small and they're too far away. So I'm not the biggest fan of taking the small dogs unless I can sit quite close.
Yeah,
but then if I'm sitting quite close, then I need to make sure that it's very experienced dogs who are not going to get distracted.
Yeah, that's true. Have you had a lot of dogs run up to you outside of the ring? Oh no.
Yeah. So I've learned very quickly that all the like Starters Cup, Novice Cup, I sit as far as possible.
Yeah, that's
also true. The big events or the proper qualifiers, so the Olympia, the Agility Stakes qualifiers, I try to make sure that I just like properly far away because I don't want people to get upset and like because the dog get distracted by me.
Yeah, that's true. I suppose you just have to sit there and ignore it, don't you?
Oh yeah. That's what you do. I don't remember. I think there was one dog at Inspire who ran up to me.
Yeah, I think it might have been. I think there was a few little ones that just ran towards the scrimming area in general. I think, didn't they? Yeah. I think there was a lot going on.
But that's the thing, like you get the inexperienced dogs and they just want to run up to the people or they want to run to the tent because there potentially is food there or something. So it's not necessarily the photographers. And that's why now I really like doing the puppy camps and the young dog camps because the dogs get used to me. So the dogs get used to have photographer in there.
Yeah, it's kind of training for them as well.
It's a brilliant training for them. Yeah, and we have a lot of... very often we do have issues when the dogs get really scared.
Yeah.
And it's brilliant for them to work through it in a safe environment, in a training environment when we can move me further away or closer or put a hat or something. So it's a brilliant training.
Yeah, no, that's a good idea.
But going back to Yeah, go on.
I suppose with the 6-7 dogs, you won't really get that, will you? Because they're more experienced, so you can probably sit a bit closer.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So, for example, like say Olympia, you end up sitting quite close because the obstacles are quite close to the sides.
Yeah, true.
So very often you literally sit by the obstacle. I just try not to sit in the dog's eye, like the line
In
of
the
sight.
line, yeah.
Yeah. Some people, especially when it's 1 to 3, not the qualifier and something, they don't mind. So I had one of the classes which I was doing, not the whole class, but some of the dogs at Iconics, and literally there were a few dogs who ran out to me.
Yeah, just a few.
But people are like, they're just laughing because, to be fair, at Iconics, most of the people get eliminated anyway because the courses are
so hard. Yeah.
So people are like, oh, at least we got some nice photos.
Yeah, that's true. Have you ever got a photo where like the dog's staring directly into the lens and you're like, oh my god, it saw me?
Yeah, a lot. To be fair, like they do notice, they do see me, but most of the dogs they just make the choice of ignoring me. So,
and to be fair, it's no different to like say an outdoor show that's not fenced off. People stood by the ring anyway with dogs often, which is even worse. Do you know what I mean? Like there's a lot of other things going on around, and it's just part of agility, isn't it? Things around the ring. So cool. So
no, wait. I haven't finished about.
Oh, that's fine. Oh yeah, breeds. So you don't like doing small dogs as much as big dogs then, generally?
Yeah, but I probably prefer to do the mediums and intermediate because sometimes the big dogs get too big.
Yeah, no, that's true. That is very true. Yeah. They're a nice medium. Well, literally.
But I like fluffy dogs because obviously you have the hair flying all over.
Yes, yeah.
So for me, doing like the proper beardy is...
Oh, yeah, Old English Sheepdog or something.
Cool.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, okay. So if you had to choose a breed, it would be an Old English or a bearded collie.
Beardy, yeah.
Bearded collie, yeah. I always get those two confused because they look so similar to me.
The Old English are fluffy and it's like sticks outside. So when it's silky hair, when it flies on
that's
when they're jumping, that's really cool.
Yeah, 100%. It's quite satisfying, isn't it? I often watch them. I'm like, I wish my hair looked like that when I ran.
I know, right?
It's so cool. Must take a lot of grooming though. That's the only thing.
Oh yeah, yes.
So do you have, oh no, we've done that one. I've lost where I am. How do you ensure photos taken at such high speeds aren't blurry? So like earlier we said, very fast dogs, very high speeds. How do you make them so crisp and focused? I'm assuming it's a camera setting deal.
Yeah, it's definitely a camera setting deal. It's also the higher level camera you get, the easier it gets.
Yes.
So, for example, if you give me the amateur level, like the entry level camera now, I will not be able to do it.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah, so it's a lot about the hardware of the actual camera.
Yeah, so a couple of years ago, I went to my parents' place and I didn't have my camera, but I really wanted to take some photos of my dogs running through some sort of flowers and remember what was it. And my father was like, oh yeah, take my camera. But he uses it for stills now.
Oh, okay.
So it's like, it's a good camera. It produces good photos. I could not get the focus on the movement.
Oh, wow, okay.
At all.
Yeah. Even though you know what you're doing, if the camera can't do it. Yeah.
And it's the Nikon, which is much higher level than the cameras that I used to have. But because it's nothing compared to what I was using at that point.
Yeah, that's true.
I just couldn't do it. I trust the camera to do the most of the job. So a lot of my settings are automatic. So I put the parameters in. So for example, like I've put the minimal shutter speed that I can allow the camera to do. And then the camera decides based on lighting, based on ISO, and based on all the other conditions that they need to like which shutter speed to use.
Okay.
So yeah, I do trust Nikon to make a lot of decisions. I am never shooting in manual.
Yeah. I remember I had a Nikon at one point when I used to do it. And like I said, manual for stills was fine, but it just wouldn't get any movement at all, not even like slight movement.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of photographers will swear by manual, and most of the photographers are shooting in manual. I don't see the point.
Yeah.
genuinely don't see the point of going through all the pain of trying to set up the menu, because the cameras now, they can do the great job.
Yeah.
So if speaking about the settings and everything, I'm shooting in aperture priority mode, as much light as possible, so as open aperture as possible, and then I go into ISO auto mode, which gives me the opportunity to set up the minimal shutter speed. And then the camera can decide what it's doing based on which ISO it wants to use, and etc.
I suppose it's a bit like your mobile phone these days. You know, technology is so good that you may as well let it do its job if it can. Do you know what I mean? Like, why not use that?
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, no, that's exactly my point. So with you need the experience in terms of, you need to know how to focus, where to focus at, and you need to know which settings to start with. But after that, as soon as you sort out your settings and you know which conditions to use which settings in, that's it. It was really interesting when I got my latest camera, the Z9. I got it literally a day before crafts.
Oh, right. Okay. No time to practice then.
Well, no, not a day. It was like probably 3 days. And I went to a agility workshop just to literally just to
practice.
See how is it.
Yeah.
And to set it up. But crafts I was shooting pretty much with no experience on that camera. But realistically, I find it really hard to take a picture on that camera which is out of focus.
Oh, okay.
It's incredible. It's just incredible what they do.
Wow,
but there was another photographer at Crafts who had the same camera, and she really struggled with focusing.
Oh, interesting.
And
How bizarre!
Like, wow.
Yeah. Maybe she had some sort of setting wrong.
Yeah. So I told her what I'm using, what sort of settings I'm using, and she changed hers, and she was just she was so amazed.
Oh, okay.
And I'm like,
so it is literally just like the slightest setting.
Yeah, but you just need to understand the settings.
Yeah, exactly.
So you know that what sort of things that you need to tweak.
Yeah.
But sometimes I turn up at the event, especially when I had a break for a few months, because obviously with agility it's all seasonal.
Yeah, that's true.
So now I'm not gonna do anything until Olympia.
Yeah.
And then between Olympia and Crafts, I'm not gonna have anything.
That's kind of nice that you get that downtime as well, I suppose.
Yeah, but then you turn up at Crafts, and I was like, oh my god, I haven't touched the camera for 3 months.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe you need to do little shows in between.
Yeah. So at least take your own dogs and let them run in the field, and then take some pictures
something, anything.
Yeah. Because sometimes for me it is literally 2 months of not touching the camera at all.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, and then you pick it up and you think, it's like it when you have a break from agility, I suppose. You come back and you think, I don't know how to handle now.
Yeah. I remember after lockdown, we did the same with showing. Turn up at the show and the dogs are like, what are we doing?
Yeah, it's funny. It's weird how quickly you can forget. It doesn't take a lot to get back into it, but at the start it's definitely hard. So lenses then as well, obviously you've got your camera. I'm assuming, you have lots of different lenses for different things, or do you just use one lens? Because I know that's a whole nother thing as well as the actual camera.
I mean, I do have probably 5 or 6 lenses now, but I literally use 3 out of those.
Okay.
Very rarely use anything else.
Yeah.
So agility is 70 to 200. Pretty much any sort of work is 70 to 200.
Yeah.
So I have my 40 mil, which is the portrait one, and which I normally have with me when I travel. If I choose to take the camera with me, then I will have that one.
Yeah.
And street photos and portraits, if I don't do all the running, crazy running photos.
Yeah.
And I have 2470 more for the dog shows. So the breed shows.
Yeah.
When I need to do the lineups and stuff like for example, when I do the podium shots, then I use the closer range lens.
Oh, okay. So lots to choose from there as well.
Yeah, but it's all for different purposes. But generally, for work, it's 70 to 200.
Cool. So you got your settings and you got your lens. And then you just need to get the experience.
Yeah, the experience is the main thing, to be fair.
Definitely.
It's whatever camera you have, you can make it work.
Yeah.
because I've done some really cool agility photos on the very basic cameras when I was just starting. I look back at the photos and they're really good. If you give me this camera now, I will not be able to do that.
Yeah, because you're used to the really high spec one.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
But I can equally take agility photos on my iPhone.
Yeah,
if the light is
true.
good enough, without any issues. I've done a lot of really cool high speed with my dogs, of like jumping up and catching stuff here in the mountains with just the iPhone.
Yeah, I was going to say how incredible they're making phone cameras these days, like with the portrait mode as well. Like sometimes they look as good as if they were taken with like a DSLR, and it's insane.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So how do you edit your photos then? So you've taken them and then you go home and you have to edit them all. What is that process like?
So the full ideal process for me, which every photographer will tell you the different story, and lots of photographers will say that I'm doing it wrong. But this is what works. This is what works for me.
Yeah.
I go through photos on the camera if I have the opportunity to do that. So in between the runs or in the evening, or if I'm lucky to have a driver who's driving me to and from the shows, then I will do it in the car.
That's nice. Chauffeur.
So I go through the photos in the camera because then I can very quickly delete the crap ones that I can see that the dog is in the wrong position or they're out of focus or something.
Yeah.
Then I put all the photos in Lightroom.
Okay, yep.
And then I go through the photos individually. But again, the first step would be just go through all the photos and delete all the ones that I definitely don't want.
Yeah, filter it down.
And then I would process the photos individually.
Yeah. So is there a lot of cropping involved? Do you often have to like crop white space out, or is it usually all right?
Yeah. No, it depends on the shows generally. So when I'm taking photos, I'm not thinking about composition at all.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking just about the focus.
Yeah. Okay.
Because everything else I can do on the computer.
Yes.
So I do all the cropping and the composition on the computer, and then I can obviously tweak like all the lighting, the white balance.
Yes, that's it.
Which language? So the white balance and all this stuff, I know that I can do it later on the computer instead of spending time and energy trying to figure it out while I'm doing the photos.
Yeah, that makes sense. So for stuff that you do in Lightroom, then it is like brightness, white balance. Is there like saturation? I think I've heard of stuff like that. Like colours and stuff.
There is a saturation. I very rarely use it at agility.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So the only color thing that I would do at agility is with the red dogs, because sometimes they try to make them very greenish. So I need to change that.
Yeah.
Especially when it's crafts, when it's the green carpet.
Yeah, everything's green.
When everything is green.
Yeah.
So that's why I prefer, to be fair, like the equestrian centers or
true.
the out on the sand, like the polo fields.
Yeah, with more neutral colours.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. So
that's definitely nicer.
How long is the editing process then, would you say, in total after a show?
A lot. It depends on my mood and my not general experience, but like how used I am to do it.
Yeah,
because
that's true. How quickly you can do it.
Yeah, for years, I was used to sit in front of the computer literally like pretty much 24/7, apart from the dog walks or dog training that I did, which wasn't like that much. But all the other times I will be in front of the computer, either doing the photos or watching something or reading something, but I was constantly in front of the screen. This past year there were a lot of changes in my life, and obviously with me spending a lot of time in the mountains and the outdoors, sometimes I go weeks without touching the computer.
Okay, just getting the photos.
So when the season started with all the photos, for me, it was a nightmare because I'm just not used to sit in front of the computer.
Yeah, that's true. It feels unnatural.
It was really hard for me mentally to just literally sit and concentrate on the screen.
I suppose you'd have to have a lot of, like, if you were going to sit there and do a load of photos, you know, you'd have to have a few breaks. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, obviously. But August was a nightmare for me. I literally just couldn't place myself in front of the screen.
Yeah.
It took me forever to process the Agility Festival. It's literally probably over a month.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah.
Just because I couldn't make myself sit and process.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
But then now, obviously, after like 3 months of doing it constantly, I can I just sit and process, and I just got so used to the whole thing that So Inspire was probably 2 days of full, but properly sitting in front of the computer and work the whole time.
Yeah, so I suppose it depends how much you do in one go as well.
Yeah.
So that's for a smaller show as well, isn't it? Inspire.
Yeah. And also, it wasn't the full day because, as I said, I haven't really been there the full day.
Yeah, no, that's true. Okay, so it's definitely a longer process editing than it is actually taking the photos.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what people don't really realise as well.
No,
Agility competitors will just think, oh, you've taken the photo, now let me have it. Not thinking of all this behind the scenes stuff that has to go on.
No, the thing is that, I can blame lots of other photographers for that, because lots of people that don't really care that much, so they just upload the photos straight from the camera to their website or
True,
website. And then they offer the editing on top.
Oh, okay. It's like a further charge.
I think they do enhanced editing for another but I don't see the point. I will never upload my photos unedited.
Yeah, and you want to be proud of the work you do. Do you know what I mean? So it's worth it in that sense.
I don't see the point of uploading the unedited photos at all. This is definitely not how I work, and I think most of the people who know me and who buy the photos from me, they know that, and they know that the photos are worth waiting for.
Yeah,
because,
definitely.
You get the very different result to the majority of photographers out there.
Yeah, definitely worth waiting longer for a higher quality product.
But then you go to the opposite scale, because there are some other photographers who do much more processing than me.
Okay.
But then they probably take photos of 10, 20 dogs a day.
Yeah, so they have less photos, so more time to do that.
They've done a handful of runs, but then obviously they can do much more processing.
Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah.
So mine is sort of a middle ground, because I still take photos of every dog and a number of photos of every dog, so it's not that I'm focusing on one fence.
I suppose you just have to weigh it up, don't you, and sort of find a nice balance between both.
It's very hard. For example, the crafts probably the best example for that in that respect. Because there is the race between photographers of who is going to upload the photos first.
Yeah, true.
Because then
especially when there's lots of you.
And there are lots of crafts.
How many would you say on average?
At a craft?
Yeah.
There are probably 5, 6 photographers.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And but the problem is that the most photographers they only do agility, obviously.
Yeah, true.
I'm there working from 7 o'clock in the morning until 10, 11 o'clock
at night. No, that's very true.
And I do everything.
Yeah.
So I can't physically upload the photos as fast as other people. But equally then, so a few years back, I would really stress and I would really make sure that I will upload all the photos as fast as possible.
Yeah.
Now I'm,
just take your time. Yeah. I'll get them eventually.
And I had some comments this year from other photographers that they're actually really jealous, because they think that it's a very good idea to take time, because you get better results for the processing and everything than trying to rush through everything.
Yeah, and like I said, now you have a really good reputation as well. I suppose people know now that the products are going to be really good, so they're more happy to wait. Whereas I suppose if you're going in as a new photographer, you haven't really built that up yet.
Yeah. It's definitely much harder when you don't have the name.
Definitely. So which part of the process is the most challenging in your opinion? Taking the photos or editing them?
So challenging, definitely taking the photos, because you need to think about the lighting, the position, what you want to get from it. So you need to make those choices, and obviously with the lighting changes if it's outdoor. So these are the things. Processing is not challenging. Processing is boring and time consuming.
Yeah, probably very repetitive as well.
Exactly. I mean, like, to be fair, like, taking photos of millions of black and white collies or black spaniels now, it's very repetitive as well.
Yeah, that's true. But you're probably likely to get a bit more variety.
Yes, exactly. No, the processing I really don't like.
Yeah.
And especially with agility, it does get very boring.
Yeah.
Because it's basically the same thing you do for every dog, but you can't. So I do batch processing in terms of processing.
Yeah.
But you still need to go through every single shot to do the correct composition, to do the correct cropping, and then maybe tweak some of the processing.
And I guess it depends on the colour of the dog as well and stuff like
Exactly.
that. Maybe the handler has like bright fluorescent shoes in the background that ruined it.
Yeah.
Anything could happen. So how do you decide what to charge for your photos then? Again, I'm assuming it's more of an experience thing that you, like any business, I suppose, gradually increasing your charge. But how do you kind of decide that?
So you look at what other competitors are charging.
Yeah.
So that's one way of doing it. But to be fair, lots of people say that my photos are much cheaper than lots of other people.
Okay.
But this is what I feel comfortable with charging. So the pricing that I have is what I feel okay with.
Yeah.
And there are obviously competitors, especially like the ones that buy everything, that they have the discounts.
Yeah, true.
So lots of competitors who invite me to their workshops and the events, they get discounts. The competitors who I've been working with for like 8-9 years, they have the special prices. So there's a whole scale of the pricing system, and it also depends on the event.
Yeah,
sometimes so I don't really care about like the level of event, so I don't charge more for finals than for the normal show.
Yeah.
But from my point of view, it's more of the discovery dogs, because the quality of the photos I just can't produce.
Yeah, okay. So would you charge less for those then?
Yes.
Oh,
so
okay,
I charge less for the discovery dogs than I would do for the outdoor shows. Unless I know, so when I'm 100% sure, because sometimes you get really, really good quality photos.
Yeah.
And I get the same with Iconics by Night, or Inspire was a little bit like that. Some photos are really good in terms of the position of the dog, the movement, but then it slides out of focus.
Yeah.
And then I will tell people that, okay, this is not my ideal photo, but I really liked the photo itself.
Yeah.
So then I will charge less, because from my point of view, the quality is not there.
Yeah. So it's not like a set price for every photo. It depends on, how happy you are with the results as much as anything.
Yeah. I mean, generally it is the set price. But there are exceptions.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair enough. So whatever you're comfortable with, basically.
Yes.
Yeah. Makes sense. So, is agility photography a well-paid job in your opinion? So obviously this is completely opinion-based, but someone would like to know, is it a well-paid job?
If you get to a certain level, yes.
Okay.
But it's the whole thing. It's the lifestyle. It's whatever you're prepared to do. It's whatever. So I would say that yes, now this year it is my primary income.
Yeah. Okay.
And especially over the last 3 months, you can definitely live off that money, unless you're paying crazy rent in London like I used to do before.
Yes. There is always that.
This is why this year I can live off just the photography, because I stopped paying rent in London.
Yes, that always helps.
But at the beginning, definitely not. No way. I've only started, so photography started to be my primary income only after the COVID.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. I could not afford to do just photography.
What other job did you have before that?
We did boarding and daycare.
Oh, okay. Oh, interesting. But now it's just the photography.
Yeah, now it's just
Okay. I suppose it's the same with any business that starts from scratch. You know, you're never going to make a full living on it at the start. Do you know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, it is your own business, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So you need to have the backup until you get to the certain level when you're okay. Without the supplement of another business. But it's taken me over 10 years.
Yeah. But it has the potential to be a well-paid job. But again, like anything, it's how much you put into it and, you know, time. As much as anything. Yeah.
But it's so the lifestyle, what I did to my life in the last 3 months, I would not be able to sustain that. The way I like living my life. Because that was way too much work. Both the events and then the processing, so I don't like it. But then with the way I'm doing it, I can kill myself for 3 months like that, but then I know that I can have the 2 months off.
Yes, that's very true.
Without thinking about actual working at all.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. So what is your favourite thing then about being an agility photographer?
It might be meeting the dogs.
Yeah, that is very true.
So it's really cool, especially when you have like all the puppies or watching the dogs from the puppies, from those first photos. And sometimes I do the photos of the litters as well. So some dogs I know from the baby puppies, and then to shoot them doing their first steps in the juice, and then to see them going all the way up to champ level, is incredible. And I have a few dogs like that. So in my agility photography lifetime, I've done.
I suppose as well, you know, agility is quite niche, so a niche thing, if that makes sense. So, you know, you're probably going to recognise a lot of people and dogs. So it's easy to sort of see that progression. You're not going to forget about a certain dog if you see them once. Do you know what I mean?
Especially when you start working with the breeders as well.
Yeah, that's very true. So meeting the dogs and watching them sort of progress.
Yeah. It was really fun because I haven't really done any workshops before COVID.
Okay.
So before COVID, I only focused on the big shows.
Yeah.
So I only done crafts, Olympics, Carlos and Festival. I haven't really done anything else at all.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
And then obviously during the lockdown, we didn't have any shows, and I started doing the workshops and the seminars.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a completely different game for me because it was very different. But it's so much easier in terms of because there's no pressure.
Yeah, no, true. That is very true.
Because it's not that one run that you have to take the photos of. It's you have the whole 1 day, 2 days of the dogs doing lots of fun stuff, and you can experiment. And there's no pressure of the dogs to get distracted because you can literally lay down next to the jump. With a wide angle lens and get some really cool shots.
Yeah, no, that's very true.
So that was really fun, and obviously then I started meeting lots of people with young dogs who are now 3-4 years. 3? How many years?
Oh God, too long.
Who are now competing in grade 6, 7, and are incredible dogs. And I remember them being baby puppies.
So in lockdown then, you said around COVID time you did more workshops. Obviously there was no big events to do. What did you do in the time where you literally no one could go anywhere and do anything? Like for income, what did you do? Could you just not do any? I'm assuming you just couldn't really do any photography.
Couldn't do anything.
No.
I mean, the government was very helpful, which made me realize I paid a lot of taxes the previous year.
Yes.
Lockdown it was a good time to chill, to slow down,
yes.
to remember that photography is not just for work, which I'm starting to forget now again. Because during the lockdown, I've done some incredible art projects.
Yes,
I started to see things and to do things different, to experiment more with photography because it wasn't just I'm doing the show, I'm taking 12,000 photos of the show. Without any creativity because you literally just take the photos of what you see in front of you and the process.
Yeah. So I suppose in a sense it was a nice thing. Do you know what I mean? That sort of allowed you to improve a little bit and branch out, I suppose.
I've changed completely the system, so I went from DSLR to mirrorless during the lockdown as well.
Okay, yeah.
So it was a great experience for me to learn about the new camera. But then obviously, like, I needed it to shows.
Yeah.
To try the new camera.
Yeah, no, that's very true. I suppose it was just being patient after that for it all to sort itself out.
Yeah. But I didn't really struggle during the lockdown at all. I did enjoy it. I did enjoy the chill time.
Yes.
I just could walk my dogs and not think about anything else.
Yeah, it was nice to have a break for sure. I think as well.
I think the further lockdowns were really annoying because you would just start doing something and they're like, no, you don't have to.
Yeah, exactly. It's like they get your hopes up and then take them away again. Yeah, for sure. Were you still doing the boarding then at that point during lockdown?
No. Because most of my plans were at home anyway, so they
yeah, that's true, I suppose, yeah.
So there were a couple of people who would need me, who like were owning the shops that were still open, but they were also in the vulnerable health category.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So I made a choice at that point that I'm not doing that part for them because they could have help from like relatives.
Yeah,
who would go to their houses anyway to walk the dogs and stuff like that. So I didn't do it anymore.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, we're all glad that's over, I think, anyway.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. But my main issue was traveling because I'm addicted to traveling. I need to travel. I don't stay in one spot for a long time.
Yeah.
So for me, the worst bit was that I didn't know when I would be able to drive to Europe.
Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah. I know, it gets a bit boring staying in one place, doesn't it?
Yeah, especially the person who never really lived in one place for more than 5-6 years.
Yes, definitely. So, where am I? So this is a bit of a harsh question. What is your least favourite thing about being an agility photographer then?
Yeah, it's just time consuming.
Yes, yeah.
So it's often like very early starts, very late finishes.
Yeah.
Like it's going to inspire literally by the end of the evening. I'm like, I am never doing a show again.
Yeah, I quit.
Yeah, because it's like, oh my god,
Yeah.
how much longer?
I know, it's horrible.
So yeah, sometimes it's like that, and as I said, sometimes it gets really busy, and because you're sort of like irreplaceable, so when they can, like with the big party, they can bring another person and let that one go to toilet or lunch.
Yeah, because everyone can kind of do everything.
Yeah. Because they're just like, can someone bring me a snack? Because I do need a snack.
Yeah. That's why it was good at Inspire where you had there was the biscuit tub, wasn't there? So I suppose you could always go, grab a biscuit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the hours at the shows, and then obviously the hours of processing.
Yeah.
It's just crazy amount of time when you actually just like sit and process and you don't do. And you want to go and do more. So I think that's sort of what I did in May when I came over because I had 5 weeks. And I haven't been, so between the crowds and May, I haven't done anything.
Okay.
And I think lots of people want to do the private photoshoots as well as shows and workshops. So in May, I had so many photo shoots.
Yeah.
It was literally like photo shoots on, so I didn't have time to process because I was mostly travel for the photo shoots or for the shows.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So sometimes that's the problem because you have to make decisions. So either you're processing or taking more photos.
Yeah, that's it.
So that's like last couple of months I was focusing more on processing, so I would do the big show and then just processing, so I wouldn't take any smaller photo shoots, any private commissions or anything.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Now I fought out completely with the photos and it's okay, and start taking the smaller photo shoots.
Yeah. Okay.
But because I like doing private photo shoots, I like doing all the funny Christmas stuff or Halloween stuff now. But I was so busy with all the activities over the last 3 months that I actually really couldn't.
Yeah,
couldn't really
true. Yeah, because I suppose, you finish a day of work of taking photos, but it's not done because then you have to go process them. So very time consuming.
I'm joking a lot that most of the people think that I never party or drink or anything. Because at all the shows, obviously, I'm working the whole day.
Yeah. Yeah,
And then I
true.
have to get back to download everything, to do all the backups. And if it's a KC show, then when I'm official for the Kennel Club, I have to produce some photos for them.
Yeah.
During the day, in the evening.
So you can't.
Yeah, music festival and everything. I just go back and I sit in front of the computer.
Yeah.
I just don't have time to party or drink or energy.
Yeah. That's like expecting them to do that if they were like working on a random Wednesday at their 9 to 5. Do you know what I mean? Like that is your work day. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And lots of my friends here in Italy obviously saw me the whole winter season skiing pretty much every day. They're like, "You never work. You're such a fun life." I'm like, yeah, until I work.
Yeah. Tell that to all the agility people.
Yeah, it's like 21 hours working day when you're taking photos and processing and
yeah, that's your holiday.
If you need to travel from the to and from the shows as well. So I used to do, I think I lived there for a few years because I lived in London.
Yeah.
So I used to travel from home, but it would still take over an hour on the tube.
Oh yeah, true, yeah.
So you spend 2 hours out of that on the commuting, and that took a lot of energy away, and also the time which I could spend processing, because you don't really want to sit on the tube and take out the laptop, the cameras, and everything.
Yeah, that's true. Someone might run past and nick it.
Exactly. So obviously now, especially with agility stakes in December, staying in a hotel, which is 2-minute walk, is incredible.
Yeah, that is perfect.
Because, if I have a break and I need a nap or I need to come back to the computer in the room, not being shut in the press office with lots of coughing and sneezing people, like it normally happens in December.
Oh, God.
So it's all those things that, I think it's just time consuming, which is the most annoying thing. Dealing with people is hard afterwards.
Yeah, definitely.
Because you do get a lot of complaints and you do get a lot of people who don't appreciate all the time that you spend. And it's obviously, it's often the new people who never worked with me before.
Yes.
And people just don't have patience.
Yeah, it's a lack of understanding as well, isn't it? Like, it doesn't occur to them what goes on behind the scenes and the effort and stuff, I suppose. Do you have do you have a limit to how far you'll travel to events to take photos for? For me, for a show at the moment, I'm thinking if it's nearer 2 hours, I probably won't, and I definitely won't exceed 2 hours. Do you know what I mean? Do you have a limit on how far you'll travel to things?
So if I travel on the day, then I would very rarely travel over an hour and a half.
Okay.
So I used to go to Dan and Dave's if they did the few workshops, the camps.
Yes.
From the home which I had in London, I used to drive every day, but it was an hour 20. Okay. So that was doable. But to be fair, from my place to NEC to Crofts, it was hour 25, hour 30.
Okay.
And 1 year I did it. I was driving back and forth. Oh my God! I thought this is
all 4 days.
Not her Crofts. Yeah, exactly.
Oh God.
I do have a limit if I need to travel every day.
Yeah. Okay.
If I'm staying somewhere, if I don't need to travel every day, then it doesn't matter. So I'm more happy to go to Scotland and stay for a week in Scotland.
Yeah, true.
If I have somewhere to stay right next to the show.
Yeah, that's true. I suppose it'd be more like a little holiday then.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's true. So finally then, last question. What is your best piece of advice for those wanting to become an agility photographer or those starting out as one?
So you definitely need a lot of patience and be prepared to get a lot of experience before you get to a certain level. So obviously the better equipment you can afford, the easier your life is going to be.
Yeah, and you'll have to replace it not as frequently as well,
Exactly.
which is always helpful. Less money.
Yeah, to be fair, like with the lenses, I haven't replaced any of my lenses until I switched to the new system. Because obviously with the mirrorless, I had to change to the mirrorless lenses.
Yeah.
Yeah, try to get as much experience as possible. So as I was saying before, like if you have an opportunity to go to the shows and you know the organizers and you know that the main photographer is not going to be upset about it, then go and do it. And especially the smaller shows, they will be very welcoming of people coming
definitely.
up. The thing is, like the established photographers will get, a lot of them will get really annoyed.
Yeah, true.
With the younger photographers being there, especially if they're offering photos for free.
Yeah, that is very true.
So when I'm not crazy stressed and crazy busy, I'm more than happy to help young photographers.
Yeah.
So if I do the smaller shows, I am like the people are more than welcome to come over and stay with me and speak with me.
Yeah.
Or even crafts, to be fair. Because crafts, I stay at one place at the main arena.
Yeah.
So if there are young photographers who want to come over and see like how it works and have some experience there, I often help to get the like press accreditation to go there as my assistant if they can actually help. So last few years, I had a girl who would come with me. And she would go through my photos, so she would do part of the editing on the day. But she also has obviously the opportunity to see everything.
Yeah, so she's like your little assistant.
Yeah. I love her. She's incredible. Like without her, I would have survived last few but also, so she gets to use my camera sometimes when I feel like that I can trust her to go and do it. Because obviously when I'm doing the finals, the important stuff, I will stick to I'm doing it. I don't trust anyone. The same as with like final editing. But if it's like a demos and stuff like this, I'm more than happy to give the camera to somebody else to do it.
So it's all learning then when you're first starting out, isn't it?
Exactly. And I had some other photographers who would come over and just like stay for a couple of hours with me, just what I'm doing.
Just shadow you, really.
To have the opportunity to try to do it as well. So I generally don't mind unless I'm crazy stressed doing the finals. It's one of those things. Like some of the established photographers would do that. Some of them wouldn't. Most of the people are relatively approachable.
Yeah. You'd like to think.
As I said, like I get to the stage when I'm really stressed, and then I can't. I
too much to think about.
To people. And during the busy periods, I have people who text me, who like message me asking about the cameras and stuff. So I'm like, sometimes I just don't have time to reply, and I know it feels very rude, but when I'm going through lots of photos, I just literally don't have time.
Yeah, you got to prioritize what you have to do at the end of the day.
But then when I have time, I'm more than happy to help and to speak. And so experience is the primary thing you would want.
Just having a go, I suppose.
So if you have the opportunity to do it, and it's better if you have the opportunity to do it at the training sessions more than the actual competitions, because it's just less pressure. And
definitely.
It's less pressure from the organizers, from other photographers, from the competitors. So if you go to your training club with a dog anyway, if you take the camera and in the breaks you practice and you take the photos of the other dogs.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like two birds kind of thing, because you're doing your training with your dog and then you get a bit of practice doing that as well. So it's not a huge inconvenience either, because they're already going.
Exactly. That's what I was doing at the beginning. There's like lots of training sessions, or when I was dog walking and stuff like this, I would just practice that.
Yeah. Amazing. Well, that is all of the questions answered.
So that was my conversation with Yulia. I really enjoyed that episode. It was so fun to sit down and talk to Yulia and get all the behind the scenes of the life of an agility photographer. and I think Yulia did a fantastic job of answering all your questions super thoroughly. So thank you so much again to Yulia for coming on the podcast. Make sure you give her, oh my God, I can't stop. Make sure you give her a follow. Her business is 4 Little Paws. Most of you probably already follow it, but make sure you go and check out her amazing photos because she is super talented. And yeah, I was super into photography when I was younger. I haven't really pursued it since, but we had in common, you know, winning the Dog Photographer of the Year or coming second. I think we both came second in something at one point in that. So it was really nice to kind of relate in that sense as well, you know, towards the start of her photography journey. But yeah, photography is something I've always really enjoyed doing, definitely just as a hobby, but it was really fun to listen to Yulia talk about agility photography, and not just agility photography, but just dog photography in general, and all the other sports she does as well, covering a really wide variety of photography types there. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this episode, guys. As usual, make sure to follow me on all of the socials. I will put them here on the YouTube video and down below in the description on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. I think that's the best I've said that outro without fumbling my words ever. It's been nearly a year, actually. I think next month it's going to be a year of the Paws in Pursuit podcast, which is crazy. I'll definitely have to do a special episode of some description. I'm thinking live Q&A on Instagram, you know, for the podcast year anniversary or birthday or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, that's insane. That's coming up very shortly. And that's pretty much it. Like I said, follow me on all of those. And if you're feeling generous, leave the podcast a rating or review, again on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. And make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel as well, obviously, and the podcast to make sure you don't miss a future episode, because I will be back in your ears and on your screens next Wednesday at 8 p.m. and I will see you then. Bye, guys.